Hello, everyone. Welcome to American Scousers Premier League panel show. We have a full panel tonight. I am your host, as always, Timuchin with Liverpool over here. We have Shay with Villa, Sully with Newcastle, and Glenn with Brentford. We'll get to it right away. I do have a couple of things that I do want to pick your guys' brains on, but we did have some big games this weekend to talk about as well, especially as this number 2 through number 5 thing is getting really heated up over here. So we'll get to the games right away. We'll cover those. And I think as we come to the games, I do want to get your guys' take on a couple of things that happened over the weekend that I've kind of really taken over as talking points more than anything else, it feels like. So let's start with the games here right off the bat. We have right away Bournemouth 0, Villa 1. I watched a small portion of this game. I saw Villa's goal and stuff like that. I mean, tough place to go to. I know Bournemouth is not the same Bournemouth they were a few months ago, Shay, but I mean, that has to give you guys a lot of confidence because I'm assuming when you looked at the schedule, that looked like a really tough away game.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. I mean, it was a very boring game. Went to go watch it.
Finally
found another Villa fan in Nashville. And I was like, yeah, dude, come meet me at this pub and we'll watch this game. I was like, probably the worst one to do that. We were the only people in the pub. I was like, man, I can't believe I actually did this. And I was just sitting there trying to stay awake the whole time. But no, it was a good game in the sense of just chippy. Bournemouth was definitely going for ankles the entire time. They weren't letting anything easy go. So they were definitely high pressed the whole time. Got a little worried just because, we needed these 3 points. I was like, please don't end in a draw. We have to do something. And, finally get that breakthrough. It was a great ball and just the craziest touch, truly. When you watch it, Ollie, whiffed it almost, but he had a touch on it this much. That's all it took. And then obviously going down a man did not help, but, Jacob knew what was going on. But the entire time they were taking him down. So, obviously frustration played a big part in it. But now we just got to look forward to Friday. Obviously, hopefully we beat Spurs very, very badly. The fact that they got catered to and moved their match, but not ours against PSG. So a little bitter.
Top 6 cartel is alive and well.
Yeah, the Big Six cartel. I was like, you know what? You ought to do it for us, but you do it for them, who's basically they finished dead last this year. Yes, you didn't get relegated, but they truly finished last in the league for the ones that stayed up. So it's kind of embarrassing. So hopefully they play the kids and it'll be 4-0 bashing,
Yeah, I can't see them starting their starters, and honestly, would it matter? That's another question.
No, that's what I say. They don't really need to. I don't blame them. Play some of the youth kids or the guys that are on the fringe, and we'll pull a full squad out and just take those 3 points, and I'll be happy.
I think so. Sir Z is calling a 6-1.
6-1. I'll take it.
Which is very possible, really. I did skip a couple of games though. Southampton 0, Manchester City 0. I don't know. I almost find it too early to make judgments on City and stuff like that. But it does hurt him in this thing overall in terms of I really thought they would be the ones climbing up, being second or third at the end. Fulham 1, Everton 3. Alex is not here this week, but can't be liking that. And I actually watched a lot of that game. At least I watched the highlights afterwards, and during it, I watched the most of it. And man, the stuff they missed is shocking, and it just kind of came to bite them in the ass. Wolves 0, Brighton 2. I think Wolves are mission accomplished over there. Brighton get the win. Ipswich 0, Brentford 1. This was a little bit of a tough watch itself, actually. But those are some 3 points. Is there still hope for Brentford to make the European step? I know we were talking about it last week.
Yeah, of course. If Man City win the FA Cup, right, it's still complicated, but that's the result I think we're really hinging on. 8th place should get Conference League. And what is the team currently sat in 8th place? That's the mighty Brentford. It's in our own hands. It's in our own hands, right? It's super duper tight. We're tied on points with Brighton, who are below us on 9th. Bournemouth, thank you, Shay, for the magnificent favour this weekend. 2 points below that. And then Fulham, who we're going to play this weekend, are still in the mix with 51 points. So they really need to beat us this weekend. So the Brentford Fulham game to come will be really one to keep your eye on. It's going to be a West London derby. Both teams in the hunt for Europe. That's a game, if I was a neutral, that kind of screams out. Put that on. I think at the GTEC, that's going to be a proper game. But with the Ipswich match, yeah, it wasn't the most aesthetic watch, I guess. It's fair to say. But for us, 4 wins in a row at this stage of the season is crazy. 4 goals in 3 games for Kevin Schade, who has been brilliant for us. He got a little bit of flack from the fans. I think I called him my most disappointing player of the season around Christmas time because he had an opportunity with West Ham and didn't really take it. But he is starting games back to back to back. He's scoring. His header, if you saw it, was magnificent. And that actually came off the back of a really puzzling series of play. The referee kind of lost control, and there were 3 corners in a row. The first one probably should have been a penalty for us, but the referee had kind of already blown to stop the corner from being taken. So they retook it again. There was more fouling, so he blew the whistle, booked 2 players. So the third time we took this original corner, Brian Mbumo swings it in, Schade with an incredible leap scores. So it really was this very complicated and confusing series of play where there were fouls, there were penalty calls, and eventually there was the match-winning goal. And I think we were pretty good value for the win. I think Ipswich, as they've done all season, seem to literally epitomize their season. They played relatively well. They worked incredibly hard, but they just lacked any kind of cutting-edge finishing quality. They have quality. Amari Hutchinson is really good on the wing. Obviously, England are looking at him for the future. Delap will be heading 30 million release clause that could be snapped up by any club in the Premier League. That would be a bargain. He's clearly beyond a 30 million player in today's market, so he'll be gone. And Mark Flecken, who was, a bit of the, poster boy for hate last season, or the season before, his first season for us, when he really, really struggled. We talked about him a lot on the show, I think, about how he was really struggling. He was remarkable, made 2 exceptional saves, like 2 save of the season contenders. And yeah, it was just testament to the players, that young players, Yarmulke in midfield, he's barely 20, I think, running the midfield for us. Kevin Schade is young. Coyote, who's been this player we've got on loan, right back. I will challenge you to find a harder working and more exciting right back in the league right now. He is just full of energy, and he's made the whole team better. That injection of energy and pace has been huge. So yeah, great result for us. Ipswich have really struggled, but I wouldn't say Portman Road's an easy place to go. The fans are amazing. Credit to their fans; they were so supportive and up for the game. But hey, there's a reason they're going to go straight back down to the Championship, because they're not good enough, and that's simple as. But credit to them for working hard as always.
Yeah, I mean, especially at home, they're like a tough team because the crowd gets in there, the stadium, the environment, and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they just do not have the quality that's just to be able to keep up, which is probably going to be a lot with those. But yes, Matthias says too soon to talk about right backs. I was if we have one, we had one. We have one coming.
That's true.
Kind of thing. Here's a quick question though, because it does involve the Liverpool audience, I guess. Seth and Carvalho, if you gave him a grade for the season, what would you give? Do you even know who Carvalho is at this stage?
This is funny. So I was on a Brentford podcast. This is my 3rd podcast in 3 days. I was on IO's podcast on Sunday, which was fun. I was on a Brentford.
Well, that's what happens when you're the only Brentford guy, right?
Yeah.
In high demand. Yeah.
Always. I'm signing all these contracts left, right, center. We've got an agent right now. It's great. It's lucrative. So I was on that on Sunday. That was really fun. But I was on the Brentford US podcast, Across the Seas But Forever Bees, which is a really good one. I was a guest on there yesterday. And one of the co-hosts mentioned Carvalho. I had forgotten this guy exists. I had genuinely forgotten that we spent 27 million on him. Like, that is insane. For a grade, you've got to kind of put, he's going to take an incomplete this season, right? I'm going to put an I next to it because he's been injured. He hasn't had a good chance. He dislocated his shoulder and has had surgery. If you had to give a letter grade, I mean, it would probably be a D, because he hasn't offered or he hasn't given anything, but he also hasn't had the right chance. And hey, you would have given Kevin Schade probably a C for most of his Brentford career. You give the guy a run of games and he's in double figures for goals, right? So I think Carvalho will play a huge role for us next season. Mbumo's going to leave. Wiss is probably going to leave. No. I think him and Igor Thiago up front, I think they'll be playing off each other. It's his chance, right? I think next season will be his. He will be pivotal for us. If he's not good enough, then fair enough. Like, we've overpaid. That was a wasted transfer. But he hasn't been given anything like a fair shot for various reasons. Opposite for Van den Berg, I mean, my God. Yeah, we paid top dollar for him. Again, it was around just under 30, I think. Like, that's a lot of money for us to... I mean, the fact we're buying any players from Liverpool, regardless of age or anything else, is mind-blowing. But for us to drop you guys the best part of 60 million, you have pretty high expectations. And he has surpassed them. He has been exceptional. So he's displaced Ethan Pinnock as first-choice centre-back. So it's him and Nathan Collins who are centre-backs. And it is no surprise that we've kept back-to-back clean sheets away from home for the first time this season with both of them together. This incredible partnership. I mean, it's obvious why Collins is captain of Ireland, because he's an incredibly talented player. And he was error-prone last season, just like Mark Flecken. He had a clanger in him. 2 times in the Wolves game last season, he passed it straight to the forward and they scored. But those have been erased, and him and Van den Berg have made such a good partnership. So I would give him an A. I think we're not going to give you 30 million for Nunez. We've run out of 30 million checks for Liverpool.
You have to pay somebody a compensation fee.
Yeah, exactly. Emotional damage.
We'll give you 20 million to take it.
Exactly. But yeah, A for the centre back, incomplete /D for the player who I'm not even sure what his best position is, which is cam or winger. It's hard to say, but to TBD, I think for him, like, we do not know.
Carvalho, you're talking about?
Yeah.
How dare you call him a winger? He will let you know that he plays cam and he does not play anything else. That's the problem.
It's a shame because, I mean, he showed so much promise at Fulham. I see why y'all bought him, and then it just kind of went. But I feel like it's just when you get that big move at that young of age, and they just throw you in there, you just kind of get, what do you call it? You lose all sight of it. So.
Yeah, but he went on loan and stuff. He had opportunities, man.
He's definitely had opportunities. There's no excuse.
He thinks of himself a lot higher than everybody else in the world thinks of him, and that's fine and dandy. But as a young player, sometimes you have to play a certain role, and he just did not want to play that role, and that's why I'm saying, yeah, he would not. It is a waste of talent, and I don't see that kid going anywhere. I just don't think he has the right head on top of the shoulders. To be honest with you, Jimbo is with us. Jimbo, man, you stay up late because Jimbo is in the UK, so it is 2:13, but it's gonna be 3 a.m. by the time this one is done. So more power to you. He was with us last night too. I think we totally shifted his sleep cycle now. He stays up at night, sleeps during the day just to watch the show. Let's go back to this because I know that Sully wants to talk about this one. Newcastle 2, Chelsea 0. Probably could have been a lot more, a lot worse. And honestly, Chelsea is not that good. I really feel like if Liverpool had to win that game, it would be a different game that they would play against Chelsea, and we would win that. It was one of
we needed you to win that one for us, but
I know, yeah, that's the thing. I know people didn't like that.
I'll give you that one. We needed those points.
When Liverpool wins, we all lose. When Liverpool loses, we all lose.
Exactly.
Like, what is going on,
guys? We need it.
So Sully, I mean, just like that, you guys are 3rd in the league, right behind Arsenal, and at one point, it was almost tied. No, there were only like a 1-point gap, I think, when we had the lead and at halftime and stuff like that. But I mean, does that almost semi-guarantee the top 5 now? I know you guys still have to play Arsenal, but.
So I think it is going to guarantee us top 5, and I think we are going to batter Arsenal. I think Arsenal is demoralized. I think they are ready for this season to be done, whereas we are chomping at the bit for the next game. And I mean, it's a slim lead that we have over a lot of these teams. I mean, yes, it was a 6-pointer this weekend with Chelsea, but I mean, if you're looking at the table, we're on 66, City's on 65, and then it's Chelsea and Villa on 63, Forest on 62. I mean,
Forest is 7th. That's crazy, by the way.
Is this an all-time choke job by Forest? But I mean, any of those teams that I just mentioned, aside from Forest, if we don't win, could catch us this weekend and could either catch us or overtake us. Sure. Now, I'm very happy that for like the first time in my life, I think our stats are reflecting how good we are. Normally our stats reflect how shit we are. This has been a complete 180. I think we're second in overall wins, just behind Liverpool. We're third in goals scored. We're third in overall goal differential. So the numbers back up what we've been doing. So I mean, it was just a great result. Tonali, who cares about him being suspended for all of last season? Like the 2 seasons
He
he's
worked
played,
on his game, man.
like for real, like honestly, like he was at our subsidiary academy for center defensive midfielders. But I mean, he's playing out of his mind right now. He is just unbelievable. He's scoring goals. I mentioned this a few weeks ago. He never scored at AC Milan. He had like 3 goals in 150 games or something. So he has been outrageous. You know, I keep waiting for Jacob Murphy to turn back into a pumpkin, but he keeps getting more purple. Like they're unbelievable right now. That game should have been put away, and it got very nervy beginning of the second half. Chelsea was really taking it to us, and you know, it almost seemed like with Nico Jackson off the field, Chelsea had more space to operate. It was very, very odd. There is in the old NHL games, there was a strategy to go to the penalty box and have less skaters on the ice so that you had more room to operate. And it kind of looked like Chelsea almost did that in the second half. Caicedo finally playing in his correct position was cooking. But we withstood it. And Eddie finally showed a little bit of adjustment. We played with 3 at the back, and that's how you stop Chelsea. Chelsea wants to play this fast game, and the 3 at the back kind of negated that with the wingers. So we looked great. I wish it had been more convincing. I wish Bruno's goal had not been deflected, because I still think it would have been a world-class goal, even without that extra touch. But, I mean, we outclassed them. We outplayed them. It was an all-around great win, and I'm finally feeling more at ease with where the team is at this season.
Yeah, I mean, that's shocking, man. I mean, we were talking about it like I think it was on like Monday with the Prince. I mean, I think like a couple of months ago when we were doing these shows, we assumed the top 3 was all said and done. And, you know, we were like, that's done. Who's going to be 4th? Who's going to be 5th? This is not long ago. It was like 2 months ago at most we had these conversations. And look at it now. It's crazy. Nobody knows who's going to be 2nd, who's going to be 5th and stuff like that. So that's, I mean, you know, it makes it exciting because we know what's going on top, what's going on bottom. You know.
Timogen, I wish you wouldn't smirk so much when you're talking about who's competing for 2nd. Like, just wipe that off your face. Come on, let us have something.
You know, it's fun. It's fun to see the kids play. You know, like among themselves. You know, like it's like, you know, like it's like Christmas. They're opening their toys. They're playing. We're just like sitting back enjoying it.
It's like if Christmas Day was held in Thunderdome at this point. Like, it's a bloodbath out there.
Let's get back to the games over here. Okay, so United 0, West Ham 2. The comedy continues. I mean, it's not even funny or entertaining anymore because I don't think they care either. So it's, you know, kind of like pointless. They're just both of those guys. You see Tottenham over there too, losing at home. Like I say, it's not even entertaining or funny anymore. It's just, and it's not even like sad. It's just like meh, because I think they're like meh themselves. They're just waiting for the final. Forest 2, Leicester City 2. I think we took that as, didn't somebody take this as a lock pick last week? Was that you, Sully, in your
I think I did.
Guaranteed win.
I think I did Ipswich over Brentford while I was having my technical.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Somebody I thought was talking.
I remember.
But I think the biggest talking points, I mean, obviously, aside from Forest drop is, so we should talk about this incident where the Pavarotti lookalike owner, I thought he was just going to start singing in the middle of the pitch. But no, he comes onto the pitch. I mean, if you guys have not seen the game, I don't know if everybody knows who's watching right now, but they get a player injured. They're about to make a substitution. A horrific injury, by the way. That looked so bad, like when he hit the post mid-riff, full speed. He's on the sideline. They're like, wait, maybe we shouldn't do a substitution. They asked the physio. I almost feel like he pulls the gun a little bit too early and trusts the player. I'm assuming the player is saying, like, I'm good, I'll be fine. And then probably didn't realize until 30 seconds later when he comes around the corner that he probably I didn't follow up, but he could possibly have like a broken rib.
Yeah, I think they said he broke his rib and he's getting surgery. So
I mean,
He was actually he's in an induced coma right now, and he's having emergency surgery on his intestine. Yeah, his intestine was
horrific, like
yeah,
full
yeah.
speed hitting that post over there.
It was a
If you
life.
never hit the post, even not at
life-threatening.
full speed. That's freaking painful.
Yep.
But the substitution is made. Meanwhile, because they get the thumbs up, and I think they still had more substitutions, but they had used the incidents, like the 3 different times where they can do the substitutions. So they end up with 10 players, lose what could be. I mean, this was supposed to be a guaranteed 3 points, really, for them, and they lose that. So the owner is over there, talks to Nuno's, who's probably used to owners being in his back pocket, in his ear, having coached in Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. But Shay, I mean, when you see that, what is the thought process? Would you want to, I guess we've talked about this before, a couple of shows, where what kind of a manager do we want? Loud, quiet, energetic, dads, whatever. Let's talk about owners now. Shay, do you want an owner that's looks like Pavarotti and runs onto the pitch, or do you want your owners more behind the scenes?
I mean, you want them more behind the scenes because at the end of the day, these are professional, owners. Like, hey, this is not like a rec league or Sunday league or like, hey, I'm paying for the team. You want them in the, like, not to say they don't need in the box, but like he came out in a t-shirt, rocking his phone with the plug-in headphones, just tells you like, hey, he almost looked like a bully sometimes. It's like, I get you're the owner, but you got to have a little bit of professionalism. Comes out in the middle of the field, basically cusses Nuno out. Like, we didn't read his lips. Who knows what he truly said to him? And the fact that Nuno's like, hey, all the cameras are on this right now. It's going to be a big talking point. Yes, we lost the points. But, that's going to be the bigger talk of it. Not, hey, that we lost we dropped points. It's the fact that the owner of this club came out looking like just almost like a fan. Like, truly, it'd have been funny if the stewards had been like, hey, what are you doing? Not realizing this is the owner of the club because he just looked like a generic dude. Which I respect the fact that is like, hey, this guy is super rich. He looks like one of us. But it's just funny. He's like, hey, shouldn't you be in the box or behind the stands, not on the pitch roaming while a match is going on? Because that's also very intimidating and distracting because he's sitting there the whole time. So he's probably yapping at Nuno while he's trying to do his job, saying, hey, why aren't you making the subs? Why aren't you putting this player in? Also probably yelling at the players, and they're like, what do we do? Do we ignore the guy paying our checks who could cut us like this versus the manager who's telling us what we need to do? And then, he's probably yelling at them. And then the fans are probably like, what's going on over here? In the positive, it's good to see the owner being in a sense of, hey, they are involved in the club. Like, that could be good and bad because, you could have the Jerry Jones situation where he's just ruined the club type thing. I just think it was just bad optics. And he kind of tried to come out and say, oh, I wasn't, yelling at him. I was just mad about our medical staff and all that. Then, like how that comment just said, they put out a PR piece saying, oh, whatever. Like, they're trying to cover up that kind of stuff because, like, what stops the league saying, hey, we're going to ban owners from their own, their own field? Like, you have to stay in the box or like you get fined. Because, if he's done this at his other clubs in Greece, we're not going to let you do this. We're not going to let the owners just kind of run rampant. And they're lucky that the league didn't truly take action with it and like, hey, we're going to fine you. And we know the league is like, well, they're big on giving points. They're going to do anything they can to stop a team knocking on the door at the Big Six. Like, here you go, Forest. You're going to lose. You already lost 2 points because of the match. We're just going to deduct you even more. Then he would have probably fully unleashed his rage, and who knows what would have happened at that point.
I mean, that's the thing, Glenn. I think that, obviously it looks odd because we're not used to it. Obviously following the Turkish league, and I assume I don't follow the Greek league, but I would assume we're pretty much the same. We just have better food. So I'm assuming the league is probably similar as well. So he's probably used to being more involved in stuff like that as owners are in those leagues. it just looked odd. I guess my bigger concern is I do want to see, I guess, the passion from the owner and stuff like that, but I still do want the owner to have the professionals do their job, like the manager manage, the scout guy doing the scout and stuff. It almost shows that when you see that, Glenn, my thought is there's God knows, like similar to what Shay is saying, God knows what else is happening behind the scenes otherwise. Is this guy coming into the locker room too after a win to say good job, coming into saying like what happened there after a draw and stuff like that? But I mean, I don't know how Brentford's ownership is, but how involved do you want your owners to be?
Yeah, I mean, not that involved. It just looked like a temper tantrum, didn't it? I mean, yeah, it was embarrassing. It's really funny. Yeah, someone in the comments mentioned, as Shay said, that the Forest media team put out this kind of propaganda statement a couple of hours ago, kind of couching this whole thing and his concern for the player. And I would love to know if he would have still, steamed onto the pitch and dressed down Nuno if they'd got a last-minute winner. Would he still have done that if they'd won 3-2 with a last-minute goal? Would he still have had this passionate demand for the welfare of his employee, or would he have shut up and taken the 3 points and looked at the table, with a bit more happiness in the evening? Yeah, it just looked embarrassing. And the fact that they're running this kind of weird PR operation after it shows that it was really inappropriate. You're not defending somebody in about 400 words if what they did was seen to be pretty standard behavior or acceptable or professional is the word we've all used. And it's tough because it's overshadowing a serious injury as well. Like, this was a real life-threatening injury. It is extremely serious from what I read just an hour or two ago. If induced comas are being used in terms of what's happening, I mean, that's like extremely serious. So yeah, it's a shame that he was they could kind of manufacture him hiding behind this kind of cloak of player concern, player welfare, when in fact he may have used that as his excuse to kind of storm on and berate the officials or the manager or whatever. But when all's said and done, if he gets the 3 points, I don't think his concern is nearly as visible. If he was really empathetic and concerned, sure, behind the scenes, maybe he rushes to get an update on the player's health or something, sure. But if you actually have that kind of deep concern, that's not something you do. Yeah, there it is in front of the cameras. And yeah, instead you storm onto the pitch, you're really rude, you felt like a schoolyard bully, as Shay kind of said. And then there's this kind of bizarre, kind of totalitarian club statement that seemed very strange they put out a few hours ago. That was just very odd.
How about you there, Sully? I mean, you have owners going around with chainsaws and planes and stuff. So
I was really hoping you were going to forget I was on the show
to ask that question, but your ownership is big on sending planes of guys with chainsaws. So,
like ownership, what owners? What owners?
We don't want them on the pitch with chainsaws. So, where do you stand on that?
Well, I mean, I think that's how we get favorable calls at this point. Like the referees in the Premier League know what they're up against. It's not just the Toon Army. It's a literal army of guerrilla fighters out there. So, I mean, like, it's embarrassing. It's like, owners, shut the fuck up and write the checks. Like, that's your job there. Owners should really only be involved in the good times. Owners should not be involved in the bad times. Bad times should be kept behind closed doors. The passion I want to see from an owner is I want to see the owner running out of the box to hug the players in celebration. That is the only time I want to deal with an owner. Now, back to Shay, kind of what you said with Jerry Jones. I would love to see this Nottingham Forest guy have his own radio show like Jerry Jones does. That would be, I'd pay top dollar for that. That'd be phenomenal. But it's embarrassing. I mean, this isn't the first time this owner has been in hot water. This is something that is not, necessarily. You can't do this in the Premier League. You might be able to do this in, I don't know, like the Bulgarian third division or something. But this is internationally televised around the globe. This is horrible in terms of optics. This is as bad as it gets. So I hope some punishment comes down. I personally would not like to see points taken away from Forest because it's the owner, like the player. I mean, obviously the players aren't getting results, but having your owner cost you points after you've busted your ass all season trying to get into this position, and now you've fallen on hard times, but you are still in the hunt. I hope there is some way they can come down on the owner. Pardon me, on the owner, some sort of personal fine rather than fining the club, because it's inexcusable. And honestly, if I'm one of those stewards, I'm thinking, you know what? Like, I'm probably from Nottingham. Like, I care way more about this team than I do about this owner. And I know if I let this owner onto the pitch, this is going to be detrimental to the team I love. I think it would have been such a cool moment, or, possibly teasing down the road. If he tries to pull this again, how awesome would it be to see the Forest faithful sort of just close in and say, you know what, we're not going to allow that to happen. You need to stay there, keep buying players like Chris Wood from Newcastle and writing us checks, and then we go on from there. But there has to be some sort of punishment for this. It's inexcusable.
Well, I just looked up. I didn't realize last year he got banned 5 matches for spitting on somebody. So, this is not his first run-in with being a menace.
And that wasn't even the incident I was thinking of. I was thinking of the incident where he threw his badge in the bushes and somebody found his badge.
That was funny.
That was amazing.
That was hysterical.
I think he's one of those guys who owns clubs. I mean, we talked about this before. I mean, it's similar to your guys' ownership, Sully. I don't think it's a business decision. It's not an investment. It's not like FSG, whereas it is more of an investment. So it's a bit easier in some ways to be more professional and not emotional, whereas a guy like that, like your owners, are more about self-glorification and playing with money. Let's face it, we're trying to open an academy with our Tonali's earnings, so just imagine if we had boatloads of money, we would probably buy our own clubs all over the place, play against each other, and talk shit on this podcast afterward. So I think that's the case, and it's a lot more emotional and stuff. It just looked like really, really odd.
I cannot believe I'm going to actually defend our owners here for a second, but our ownership has been very hands-off in terms of what they've been doing. I don't think there was anybody.
Isn't that by design? Do you think that's you guys can buy a team, but here's the deal?
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if the Saudi ownership group looked at PSG, looked at City, and said, we don't necessarily want to do it that way. I think they would have gone the City model more so, because City's owners seem to be fairly quiet as well, whereas PSG's owners are pretty in your face. And I don't know if that's by design or if the club, this is me talking as a hopelessly romantic Newcastle fan, that the club has enough of a culture that an ownership group isn't going to change that. The ownership group is never going to be.
Yeah, see, when you say that, the Saudis cut your connection. This is the kind of ownership you got there. The Saudis cut your connection mid-sentence.
I was going to say the Qataris are listening. Everybody, if I'll blink twice if I'm okay. All right.
Oh man,
but I think the culture overrides the ownership, and I think Forest, while having a diehard fan base, does not. The owner is singular and too bombastic for the culture of a club like Forest. That was my final point.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think here's another thing. You kind of find out about ownership and their emotional levels, their involvement levels, and their commitment levels when things start going south. I think when it's good, yeah, everybody's running on and hugging players and stuff like that. The true colors come out when just in any situation, right? The true colors come out when things are not going well. Everybody's happy singing Kumbaya when things are going well.
And last season, when we were not doing well, they stuck with Eddie, and look how it's paying off for them. So I agree.
Who's Eddie again? Oh, that guy's assistants?
Yeah, Tyndall's friend he brings to the games.
Tyndall's best buddy? Yeah. Liverpool 2, Arsenal 2. So a few things to talk about and pick your guys' brain on this. Obviously, over the last couple of days. We've talked to that. So everybody who follows the channel knows where I am on this. But I want to get your guys' take on it. I don't know if you guys had a similar situation, had your own player under the, under scrutiny or whatever you want to call it. But Shay, we'll start with you. We'll get to the game, but obviously the talking point out of the game ended up being the whole booing of Trent thing. And I know from outside, as I listen to people from mostly outside, it doesn't make sense, look right, and stuff like that. I think you kind of have to understand the Liverpool, the city, and stuff like that to understand the reaction of the fans on why they're so angry and stuff. I don't know if you ever had anything like that with like Villa. Obviously, I can barely follow our own contract situations because I hate that crap. I don't know if you guys had it. If you had your fans ever kind of get on the case of their own players. I've seen a lot for Fenerbahce, so it was nothing.
We did. It's the $100 million man. I think when we first started this podcast, I was hell bent on Jack Grealish and telling him F off. I was like, how dare you do this thing? Your granddad played, great-great-granddad was here when the team was built. You have come up through the academy. Your whole family has been Villa fans. They stopped coming to Villa games, even though they still live in Birmingham. Like, it sucked because, here's a kid, same thing like Trent, came through the academy. He was Villa through and through. He was captain of the club. He led us on that awesome 10-win streak that got us promoted to the Premier League. Like, we were still in the pits. And here's the kid that we saw basically from the age of 5 in a Villa shirt at Villa games, watching the club, earning his keep, becoming the club captain. And then, yes, that year we finished 17th on the last day, made it. The next year, Dean Smith has us in the top 6, and we were playing really well. And then, he goes along and signs that contract. We're like, all right, cool. We're finally going to build the club around him like we've been envisioning to, and then leaves. But like Jimbo says, he at least, for all of the bad things that happened and stuff, like, same thing. He could have left on a free. So I give him the credit of whoever his agent was and like that. Like you said, he gave us the money that has turned into what we have been able to do.
Yep.
As Mateo said, yes, he still gets booed. Like he knows, because like he burned a lot of bridges and the stuff, and the way he said it, like the way his interview went out, kind of like how Fabian Delph left, same thing. Like, oh, this is my club, my city, my club, and then he just leaves. So it is what it is. But like I said, like it's all water on the bridge, because I mean, I get it. He went to go win a trophy and win Champions League. Their careers are short, but he did what he needed to do, and I think he understood how passionate. Like I said, like, as a true fan coming up, it's like us, like, hey, we came through the academies. This is our team. He at least left us in a better spot. That first match, I think back home, I think it was the loudest I ever heard. The whole, like, you had every single fan sing Villa Till I Die, and you could see the look on his face. He's like, oh shit. I was like, they're probably never going to, forgive me for this. And there's a lot of fans that have, like, I've given it up. I was like, I'll take him back, but he's got to realize he's not going to just walk in and be, Mr. Villa all over again. He's like, hey, we've moved on. I would love to see him come back. Like, I'm not going to say no. But in Trent's thing, how they said, like, hey, he kind of teetered and tottered. There's nothing stopping him signing a 2-year deal. Like, hey, I'm going to leave. He just said, like, all right, I'm just going to leave for nothing. So in anything that hurts more, because he's only 27. So it's not like he is 30 years old or something, like, say, when Steven left, when Frank Lampard, all those guys left their clubs respectively. They were old. They did everything they had to do, and they left for a little bit of money, or they left at the last second. He was like, oh, hey, I'm still technically in the prime of my career, like 27. Like, he's going to be playing at Real for probably 5-6 years, truly, because now he's going to be kind of on coast mode, because they're not going to be playing this intense every week, and he's not going to have that many miles put on his legs. And I think that's where I saw on Twitter a lot of the fans have just unleashed absolute rage. Like, it's kind of funny seeing some of the comments on Twitter, and I'm just kind of laughing, but I was like, I know they're going to pull up the Jack thing and like, oh, yeah. I was like, look, we aren't also a club. Like, we were always the club that finally were getting there, and then our players get snatched from us. And that was the harder part of like, hey, Gareth Barry, James Milner, like, we sat there and built these kids or these players up, and then the big clubs come in and take them at the time for not a lot of money, which you look at inflation, like Milner and them were probably $80 million players. But like that led to our demise. So like we couldn't recoup that and end up making us fire Martin O'Neill, who just kind of gave up on the team. Whereas this one, like, y'all will be fine. Like, it sucks because he is whatever. Like, I love how the mural's probably going to get taken down. They should probably just leave it, but just get rid of the quote and just kind of leave it is. Or paint over it. And it'd be kind of funny if they just painted another player's face over it kind of thing and changed the number. But I think that's the hardest part. Like, I think a lot of the fans won't ever truly like welcome him back. He's probably gonna have to do some PR stuff if he does, or he's just gonna like kind of leave and just whatever and just cement that legacy. But I feel like he probably should have at least just signed a contract, even if it's for 2 years, and they could have paid, even if he got $20 million for him. It's just something. It's just the fact to lose him for nothing hurts because yes, you have money and you'll be fine, but it's just like, all right, well, he sat here, he ran his contract out, and then leaves to basically your European rivals in a sense, because you're probably going to face each other next year in the Champions League. That the way everything's rigged, I guarantee you Liverpool and Real are going to be in the same group.
And it will be at Anfield.
Happen. And first game back at Anfield, he's going to start, and it's going to be probably the most toxic game that anybody will ever watch. They'll probably get the most ratings, so they know it's going to happen. And I can only imagine the shit that y'all are going to be saying to him. And his family probably won't be back at the game. Because I saw the video of his brother laughing and stuff. I was like, look, the optics of this do not help at all. Like, you guys should have probably gone about this a little bit better. So something tells me they won't be welcome in the city of Liverpool for a long, long time.
I do not think so. I mean, that's the thing, Glenn. It's like whenever we like name different players, like whether it's like Grealish or like Stevie G and stuff like that, it's always kind of like apples to oranges because the situations are different. Like, you know, Grealish bringing that money helps build Villa partially to what it is now. Not only Trent kind of like orchestrates this move, he doesn't bring anything, and he's going to a club that would not pay to get him. So that shows you how much you value them compared to how much you value your own club. And I think, you know, when a player, I think like a decade or two ago, if a player wanted to go somewhere, I probably would not be able to blame him as much if they're like, hey, I'm the best guy over here and I want to win, man. Like, I got like a decade of this career kind of thing and go somewhere. He's leaving the freaking title winners, the champions, in the beginning of a project and stuff. So there's so many negative things on optics. So I know every situation is different in apples and oranges, but like, how did you view the booing? And has Brentford had their own boo birds for their own players?
Yeah, I mean, similar to Shea, we've been a selling club. We still are a selling club, so we've had to deal with this. I remember one transfer window quite a few years ago now. Harry Redknapp's Birmingham City came in and swooped 3 of our players. Fan favourite Jota, which was heartbreaking. It was a club record, 5 or 6 million at the time. And Harley Dean, our centre-back. And Harley Dean became something of a hate figure. Had a song about him, you know. I remember, I think they actually beat us I think Birmingham beat us that day. I remember being in the home end and, like, you know, a lot of animosity between Harley Dean specifically and stuff, but we've probably moved past it now. Ollie Watkins is a sad one because obviously Shea, you know, went over to you guys, you know, with a lot of love. You know, obviously frustration he went, but then there was some kind of incident with the fan last season. So now Ollie Watkins has kind of got a rep at Brentford, which is a real shame. But yeah, we're used to players moving on. And when it was said and done, it is what it is. Like, it's hard to be too personal about it when you're in a club like Brentford's position and where Villa have been, of course. I don't know, with the Trent thing, I don't know. I think it was pretty sorry behavior from the fans booing him myself. I thought it was pretty pathetic, truth be told. I mean, I get you're upset. I get you wanted some money, but like, it's football. It's a business. It's his decision if he wants to go to Madrid. The club should have done better behind closed doors and put down an offer maybe he couldn't refuse if you're desperate for him to sign the dotted line. I get the frustration. You're not getting anything for him, but like, how's that his fault? It's the club's responsibility to make that happen, right? I think there's been a lot of hate for an individual who has every right towards the peak of his career. He's achieved everything with Liverpool, right? He's won so much stuff. And like, yeah, I get it's the start of a project, but personally, he probably has other projects he wants to do. I don't think it helps that it's Madrid, because Madrid are a team that are deeply unlikable, and I think that adds further fire to it. I think they're a real Marmite team. Basically, you support them or you hate them. So it isn't.
And it's a team who always does this, like,
yeah,
Galactico and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a greedy club that really epitomizes the things about football that we don't like. And you can kind of compare and contrast that to Liverpool, which, whether you're a fan or not, generally speaking, the ethos of the club and the fan base is something super positive, and more communal, right? It's more community focused, it's more city focused, whereas Madrid is this Galactico, insufferable, hyper-capitalist project. Like, I totally get that, and I know the destination didn't help, but I don't know. I feel the animosity he's getting from the fans, it just feels like a really sour note. And I know the fans would say that's his fault, not ours, but it feels like a very sour note to end what has been a pretty iconic season for you guys. And we've mentioned before, like UCL or another cup would have been the icing on the cake, but it's the start of the Arnie project. You've run away with the league. You've humiliated the other top teams in the country. Let's be real. You've humiliated them this season. And for all of that to end on a note that is so potently aggressive and antagonistic, for me, it just feels like a waste of really good energy. I understand where Liverpool fans are coming from. Like you've talked about it in the comments today. Obviously, there's a lot of strong feeling there. Boyhood club, city affiliation, all of this stuff. And the biggest frustration appears to be from the discourse that obviously you guys, he's going away essentially for free. And could you not get Madrid, a club with some of the deepest pockets in the world, to pay a bit of money? I do appreciate that side of things, but when all said and done, I mean, to bring that much hate towards a player who has served you so well for so long and been such an iconic Liverpool player, the bitterness of it, for me, just feels very heavy-handed. And I mean, I don't really have an analog with Brentford. I mean, Jack Grealish was really interesting with Shea's analog. That's closer. Yeah. You got Fat Check. I think that's a really great example of a different way to do things. And that's really insightful. But you know, I don't know. There's a comment in the chat, about whether Slot shouldn't have subbed him in at all to avoid this, but you're trying to hide him from the fans. I guess my question to you, especially, obviously as a Liverpool fan, it's like, should this have just been released at the end of the season? Should that kind of hostage-esque video, which felt very forced and artificial, been released? That felt like bad timing and very strange to me. I guess for me, beyond the money thing, which is just obviously a sticking point, but communication-wise and comms, how could this have been done differently? So we're not in a situation where we have 3 games left of the season and he's being heckled and hated by his own fans. Because that feels needlessly bitter and needlessly antagonistic. Or are you just like, the fact he's going for no money, fans have the right to express that frustration?
Yeah, I think that's on him. I do put it on him. I have no problem with the fans booing at all. During the game is a different story. I mean, he basically, like, right when he was coming on, they were singing about Stevie G. Then they were singing about Connor Bradley. I thought that was class. And then he got the boos when he first got up and stuff. And we were talking last night. It took forever to tie his shoes and stuff. And I'm okay with the booing. Maybe not during the game, before and after the game, because he deserves it. Because he had 2 other examples to look at to see how to handle a contract situation. So while the other guys were open, took care of their business and played their game and said, I want to be here, but we'll see what happens and stuff like that. When you have 2 guys that you didn't expect any loyalty from as a Liverpool fan, they handle it like that, and your local lad handles it like this. Meanwhile, word comes out that he's been kind of planning this for the last 18 months, and that's how the contract is done like that. He's running it out and stuff like that. Going to a team that doesn't value you enough to pay for you, they will only get you for free because your brother, and this is why you don't hire family to do business, your brother, who's the agent, is going to get money. And I've been saying this, and I will continue to say this, and I know I will be right. In 5 years from now, he will be just a bag over there in Real Madrid because he's not a good defender and stuff, and he's not going to get the protection that he got from Liverpool fans. Because I've been fighting the Trent sucks at defending battle for the last 2 years, and I'm always like, oh, that's the system. He passes, though, and stuff like that. Real will not give a damn because you're not the local lad there anymore. So they will throw you to the wolves. That media, there are channels, papers just doing nothing but covering your club. So they will follow you and Bellingham to your roller coasters, whatever the hell they're going to do together. So he's gonna get the scrutiny. The way he handled it overall, he deserves every single negative thing coming to him. I mean, we all have in our clubs like legends, right? And those guys you cherish freaking forever. And when you go to a game now, the camera always cuts to where Doug Leash is on the stands and stuff like that. If Stevie G is there, you're gonna know where Stevie G is sitting and stuff. Nobody's gonna give a fuck where Trent is sitting. He's lucky if they let him in the stadium. I think that's how, especially the locals feel. I know it's a bit more mixed here. I think the American sports part of it, Sully, kind of kicks in too, because we don't get, I mean, there are sometimes stories, right? Oh, they drafted the local kid and stuff like that, but 4 years later, he's a free agent. He leaves anyway. I don't think, like, I noticed that sports fans here see it as more of a betrayal to Trent, like Glenn is saying, because I think we're not as used to the concept of local kids from like 5 years old or whatever, playing there forever, being the city. I think the fact that he is the freaking city and he could have been Mr. Liverpool, and he basically said, and the slogan is "This means more." He basically said, "This doesn't mean more. That Spain weather means more," and he just basically bailed. And not for like this whole, oh, he wants new challenges and stuff like that. He could defend, that'd be a challenge. And also like the fact that is really winning at Real a big challenge, because nobody's going to say they won because of Trent.
Oh no, I think Timogen, I think your analysis was perfect. In 5 years, it's going to be another free transfer somewhere for Trent. He is going to be so bad at Real Madrid. He does not fit their system at all. I mean, why are you signing another defender that doesn't actually want to defend? Yeah. Like, you already have a problem with too many forwards. Now you want all of your defenders up in the attack? Like, I don't get it. Xavi Alonso has his work cut out for him with what the Real Madrid brass is doing right now. I was thinking about Newcastle players. I mean, we kind of have like the reverse. We have players that we don't push up through the academy. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we have players that we don't push up through our academy who are local guys. People forget Shearer was a legend at Blackburn Rovers before he came to us. Dan Burn was very solid at several clubs, worked his way up, and then we brought him back. He didn't come through the system. You know, the only player that really fit this mold was, Andy Carroll, I guess, but then he sucked ass for Liverpool, so it wasn't really like a big deal, and he ended up coming back to us.
And you got a load of money for him, Sully. You got a
fat
check for him. 35 million.
Gosh. Yes, and that was back when 35 million was.
Oh, that's 60 million.
That was serious money, baby.
Yeah,
that's a fortune.
Change, yeah.
That was a crazy transfer window, because Timogen, wasn't it the same one where you guys sold Fernando Torres
to Chelsea, right?
Yeah, that was a wild 48 hours.
Everybody, replacing with Andy Carroll. I was like, oof.
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
At the time, you already knew how it was gonna go, but we all had hope. So.
Our selling has been good business, and I think Newcastle fans welcome just about everybody back. I mean, Andy Carroll came back to us later in his career, and there wasn't any animosity, but I just think I have been also in the Trent haters camp for a very long time. I could give two shits about what Trent does. He's going to be on the bench at Real Madrid within 6 months. He's going to be out of there in 5 years. Like, I just don't care. And I think the Liverpool fans have every right to boo him, to give him hell. And if I was Slot, I would have said, thank you for what you've done. These games don't mean anything. Fuck off. Like, go to Madrid. Do not be here. We will carry on without you. So that's just
what's going to happen. And I don't know. Maybe my theory is they just wanted to get it out of the system, because I don't think he will have the same reaction when he comes in against Palace. If he does come in fact, they just wanted to get this out of the system and they didn't want it. And going back to what Glenn is saying, that hostage video, they were like, hey, just freaking do it. Get it out there, because we want this out of the system. We want to celebrate the trophy against Palace. We don't want to be dealing with your drama. And I think,
I feel like they should have probably waited, though, because, I'll give that, when Jack signed all the stuff, we did well in the season, and it happened middle of the transfer window. After we did, I think that's what burned us a little bit more. So, I get it. They probably saw the optics of the Jack thing, because, we released the new kit. He was the main point of the whole kit launch. We did the whole, hey, we signed the contract, and they did him everything, and then he literally leaves the next week. So that's why I think it burned more, but it was a better optics because, hey, the season ended because y'all won it. On Sunday is the biggest day of, hey, this is the trophy celebration. He could have literally been the focal point hosting it with Van Dijk as the captain, and then boom, 2 days later after the celebration's done, hey, I'm leaving. And it would have stung a little bit, but I think everybody knew it was happening. But it wouldn't have been as sour as it is now. Because like you said, on Sunday, he's going to have to walk out there when they do the trophy celebration, and most of the fans are probably still going to boo when they see him. And it's just going to ruin it for everybody else. So I think it's a little bit of both. The club,
I know Real wants them, though, to go to that tournament.
Well, that's
So
what it is.
they're
Real
to pay like $1 million or whatever.
I think Madrid they have also. I think they're trolling in a sense. They knew this was going to happen because he's such a prominent figure, and they're just like, oh, hey, we're going to ruin it for Liverpool kind of thing. How somebody said about the Michael Owen, kind of the same thing, but back then you got money for it, but it was the same situation. He came up through the academy. This was England's golden boy at the point. He was going to be our next talisman. And then he leaves to Madrid, and same thing how Sully said. He went there, did not fit the style, because I thoroughly enjoyed watching Michael. And I was like, all right, here we go. We finally have somebody to replace Shearer and that striker. And then he just nosedived. And then he ended up at Newcastle, didn't do very well. And then that was the end of Michael Owen. Like, it's going to happen with Trent. And I have a feeling when you see English players go over there, they don't fit the mold because that's not how they play. Like, I think the only successful English, like even when David Beckham left, Beckham's just a different enigma just because he was straight, just a profitable player. They were doing it just to get Real Madrid up in a get or whatever. And United were like, that's fine. You can leave. You came up through the ranks. But it's like, well, we're going to do totally fine. We have the best manager in the world. The team will be okay. And then he went over there and then I don't think he lasted very long at Madrid because he was in the U.S. in 2 years and basically built the MLS. So he was all looking as, PR at that point. I don't know if I want Trent. He doesn't fit Emery's system either. It's like he can't defend. We already have Matty Cash. I think we're all right. We're good enough.
Well,
and the pride of Poland.
I was going to say, I think this is also and Glenn, back me up on this if you can. I think this is also an English issue. An English player leaving the Premier League to go to another country, that is often really looked down upon, particularly chasing something, like Conor Gallagher. Is Conor Gallagher Irish? Am I wrong?
He's English.
No, he's English.
Okay, thank God. Conor Gallagher went to Madrid to Atletico because Madrid wanted him. It wasn't the player chasing something. He fit Simeone's system really, really well. Jude Bellingham has not gotten this level of hate because Jude Bellingham hasn't played in the Premier League. He's been a Dortmund
he also came
guy.
from that shit team down the city, so it's totally fine. It's okay. He didn't deserve to be in the championship.
Oh God, and he broke up Shea. I think that was a very snappy comeback.
That was. He went to Dortmund first.
I don't know. Like I say, very terribly.
But
they're in Dubai right now, and maybe they'll give him the wrong plane time. They're like, oh no, it was taken off at 10, not noon, and they just fucking leave his ass over there. That's very possible. But go ahead.
Well, and talking about Dubai, and you guys, sorry, Jordan Henderson. This feels like a Jordan Henderson type situation where this is going to be massive blowback on the individual himself because the individual is leaving for reasons rather than the club wanting him. Jordan Henderson left for generational wealth. Trent's leaving to try and chase Champions League glory. That seems like a real turning your nose up at the English general population, and it sits wrong with me. It sits wrong with me.
Imagine if he'd run down his contract and gone to Man City. That wouldn't have gone down much better, would it?
Oh, I'd have been
he would not make it.
I think yes, okay, but I don't think City would have also pulled. I don't think City would have pulled business like this. I think City would have waited till the summer opened.
Like they did with us. Pep probably wanted him and had a little bit of contact, but I also think. Because, Jack wanted to leave a bunch of times. There was all these rumors, wanted to go to Spurs, threw a temper tantrum. United were looking at him. We didn't sell him, kind of threw a little bit of temper tantrum. Granted, he was a kid at the time, so, I get it when you're 20-ish. Cool, here's two of the biggest clubs. And then when we put the release clause. City were the only one to activate it. Pat's like, I want them. They paid it straight out. We didn't even hesitate. Like, yeah, cool. Like, if you're willing to pay $100 million for a drunk whose legs are about to be gone in a year, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I understand him wanting to go and all that kind of stuff. The way it's executed is just so horrific that he kind of like deserves everything he's getting from the fans, to be honest with you. These fans have been behind him, and you can't milk the Scouser and the team and this city, and this city means everything to me. This means more, blah, 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 for 10 years. And afterwards says, you know what? Actually, this doesn't mean that more. And then like leave. And the way he did it, it's just, yeah, he deserves everything that's coming his way. About the game, though, we kind of like touched on it, that it's the Arsenal team that's, you know, in his last legs, Arteta like beating him down to like a pulp, it feels like. But I'll just open up to the middle if you guys want to jump in what you guys thought of the game. I mean, you know, Liverpool started a lot better. Probably should have been 3-4 at least in the first half. But then the second half, you almost came out to celebrate the trophy again, and Arsenal scored early, and it kind of took a different turn. But what did you guys think of the game? I guess I'll throw it to the middle. Where it wants.
I went back to sleep because I was up at fucking 6 a.m. for our game, which should have been in that time slot. Next.
All right, who was awake for this?
I caught like the end of it. I saw them come back, and I was like, okay, well, you know, this is kind of. But like I said, I think they started the celebrations early, and the team's not fully checked out, but they're like, there's nothing truly to play for right now. Just get to the season without getting hurt. Like, obviously, you wanted to add on to Arsenal's misery, so that gave them a little bit of hope. But they're about to get pegged back down this weekend, so it'll be okay.
How about you, Glenn? Did you catch any of this?
It's funny, actually. I watched the first half. I was getting ready for the game I was playing in, the soccer match, and I went to go and try and find my shin pads in my room, which took 2 minutes, and those 2 minutes were the 20th to the 22nd minute. So I managed to miss all the action. They're at the back of my closet, and I spent ages trying to tear them out, and I came back. I was like, oh, there's a goal. I saw it said 2 on the screen. I was like, hold on, what's going on? And then I was playing during the second half. Yeah, I mean, it's just like there's no gas in the car that's needed. You know, it's just you know, you've pulled over, you're having a beer on the side of the road. Doesn't matter. Who cares? It was funny to see how upset Arteta was with the first half performance. As you said, it could have been more than 2, and it was funny to see him go from, we were the best team in the Champions League, we should have been given the trophy in the quarterfinal for participation, and then he goes and puts in that 45 minutes at you guys' place.
Yeah, because that was last week we were talking about.
I know, it's just
that's quite a time. And then he puts the icing on the cake with his like press conference, and I'm like, dude, like we can have an episode on this dude like every freaking week.
Yeah, and he had a meltdown this time. I mean, credit to Arsenal for, fighting back. They put in, from the highlights, put in a really good shift in the second half. And yeah, wouldn't it be crazy? Like, you just look at the table, wouldn't it be amazing? We've thought it's been so fixed, as you said. It felt like the top 3, Liverpool, Arsenal, Forest, was fixed for the majority of the last couple of months. Wouldn't it be crazy if maybe Newcastle finished second, Notts Forest drop and stay at 7th? I mean, these are pretty substantial changes. It's pretty, strange to see such a change of fortune. But yeah, Arsenal, they're demoralized. That's why I'm surprised they actually did have the kind of passion and energy to fight back. Credit to them for that second half, because they're obviously demoralized. Obviously, they got the hairdryer at halftime from Arteta. I would love to have watched that halftime talk, right? Oh my God, his head would have exploded.
To be fair, he doesn't need a hairdryer, so you can just give it to him. So.
Yeah.
Glenn, I'm gonna start using that. I like that. Given the hairdryer, I like that one a lot. That's going to the
right. Bro, I feel bad for your team now. I'm like, guys, you know what time it is.
Well, hey, I would like to throw an early Tonali's bet out there for next season. Over under how many games before Arteta pulls the classic move of having your team stay on the field at halftime, rather than sending them to the
Hull City. Yep. Iconic moment. Yep. Iconic. Phil Brown.
Bring out some orange.
Jimmy Ballard.
I go under 12. That's where I'm setting it.
That's hilarious.
Okay, well, speaking of, let's get to Tonali's picks. It's that time of week where we hang out with Tonali at the casino, placing money on next week's games. We are a little behind in trying to get some money over here, people. So let's make our best bet. Some actually really, really interesting games this weekend, and some duds as well, such as Leicester City and Ipswich. But I mean, you got to figure Chelsea, United's. I don't know, like that's important for Chelsea and United. I don't know if they would play the spoiler or if they would be like Spurs against Villa and kind of like take the time off or whatever. But Sully, let's start with you since Tonali is your boy. Where does the Tonali money go? I'll go all the way to the bottom over here.
Well, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on Newcastle. I think we can win that game 3-0. I really think we are going to take it to the Arsenal. That I don't want to pick my own team though. I don't want that to be the pick. Timothy, can you scroll up just a little bit? I think West Ham Forest. I think 1-1 draw. That's where I would go with that game. But parlay with
a parlay over here.
Yeah, hey, we gotta make this money up. I'm putting in the work.
Glenn, where are you putting your money?
Oh, yeah, it's tough. Sorry, I like both of your picks. Yeah, Newcastle I would favor. No Declan Rice, I think, as well, potentially. So, yeah, it looks pretty good for you guys. And, yeah, the West Ham one's appealing, isn't it? It feels a bit intuitive because of Forest's miserable form. Although West Ham haven't had a great record, and they beat, obviously, like a United B team, which kind of flatters to deceive maybe their actual run, which has been abysmal. Just looking at who has something to play for and who doesn't, and literally building off our last discussion. I mean, Brighton are at home. They're fighting for Europe. They're on level on points with us. If they beat you guys and we slip up, they'll get into 8th place. So I quite like Brighton with something to play for against the Liverpool side who hasn't shown up the last 2 games. And why should they? No disrespect or issues there. Like, you've already won it. There's no pressure. I know Salah's going to be hungry to break his record. He wants goal. He wants assists. So I would think about Salah being on the score sheet in some way. But I do reckon Brighton, a hungry Brighton against, a kind of post-celebration, continual celebration Liverpool. Yeah, and Brighton have got a decent record at the minute. They've won 2 of their last 3 and unbeaten in those 3. That's who I could see a decent kind of treble with you put a bit of money on. West Ham, Brighton, Newcastle to maybe win by 2 or more goals. I mean, that's a pretty tidy.
And I'm afraid of next year. You guys already end of the season. Everybody's parlaying and shit. So I don't want to know what you guys are gonna do next season. some crazy odds. I bet she scores on the 33rd minute. So I'm putting my whole.
We do throw-ins. We got to do a amount of throw-ins in the first half.
Start betting on throw-ins. Hey, you laugh at that, but they literally have those on FanDuel for NFL, and it's honestly mind-boggling.
Yep.
Like, oh, hey, how far is the opening kick going to go to the touchback? I was like, we have fully embraced the gender behavior.
Some of those bets are freaking
crazy.
Lose to Brighton 1-5. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I think we're seeing this, right? I mean, we talked about this before. This league is really tight. The reason the top, like the big 6 is down and stuff is the middle of the table is a lot stronger. And we're only talking, like 10, 20% difference. So if you don't have the ambition that Liverpool does not have the last few weeks, that makes all the difference. It levels the playing field automatically and stuff like that when you don't have anything to play for. So, and honestly, like aside from, like you said, Glenn Moe's record and stuff like that, I really don't care. There are a few things to watch, but I just don't want to watch Nunez anymore. I just don't want to watch Trent anymore. Just want to watch the trophy being lifted, the party afterwards, and get ready for the transfer season, which already actually started really, really early for my liking. But Shay, back to Tonali's picks. What do you have?
I'm gonna pull a crazy one. Watch United beat Chelsea. Like, they're just gonna go into momentum. It'll give them a little bit of push to beat Chelsea, and then they'll end up beating Spurs. So I have them. It'll be a gross maybe 1-0.
I like
just
that.
because Chelsea don't have a striker now since Jackson.
Yeah, who's scoring?
Yeah.
I don't know who's gonna score for them truly, and like I haven't really kept up with them. Like, past 2 teams that played them, they probably don't look good with a straight midfield team. They're in that situation of Arsenal, like, oh shit, we don't have a striker. So I can see United pulling off the one random win towards the end, and then that just opens it up for all of us. So that's going to be my Tonali pick.
I'm in for the
There's a little bit of wishful thinking about that as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Shay,
We're definitely beating Spurs on Friday. Like, I'm not worried about that. That's happening.
Shay, take the under. It'll screw with Timogen. He won't know what to do. Just say take the under.
I'm going with Bournemouth getting something out of City.
That'd be
The
my
way
second choice.
City is, and I think Bournemouth is an ideal team to play against City on the counter and stuff like that, and get something on them with Semenyo and stuff. So I'll put my money on Bournemouth. I will ask you guys this because somebody mentioned it in the comments. The bridesmaid banner. I don't know if you guys saw this with
I just
Arteta
Googled it,
with
and
the
you noticed.
bridesmaid. Do you guys see that and just chuckle, or do you guys see that and say, I mean, it's still funny. You're gonna laugh either way, I guess. But do you like that's not appropriate, or is just good old fashioned?
Well, it's good old fashioned fun, talking probably to the biggest crybaby in the English football system. I'm talking about even conference league managers are probably more stern and can take a joke more than Arteta. Like he can't handle the pressure, and it's very easy to get under his skin. So I guarantee you that messed with him the whole time. And then, like Glenn said, it comes out of halftime with his hair like that. Like he definitely saw it, and it messed with him a bunch. I hope a couple more teams keep up with that. Just like randomly have some banners of just shit talking Arteta, because it's just going to make him become unhinged. He's just going to take it out on the team, especially start losing, and maybe he'll start picking his eyebrows and he'll be bald by the end of the match. So.
That whole best team in the Champions League, and then they would have won the Premier League.
He
I mean, he's just kind of asking
like,
for it at this point.
He's always after seasons. Like, there's a reason why everybody piles on to Arsenal. The fans on Twitter and social media literally don't help, but then the manager's almost worse, because he always just he allows it to happen. Like, so, just his terrible speeches at halftime, him making the excuses. I'll still never forget when they did was it Amazon when they had their show? He was talking about the damn light bulb. I was like, I watched it like 4 times. I was like, I do not know what metaphor you're trying to make. Like they paint, like they do like a deadpan of the players, and they're like, what the fuck is this man talking about? Like a light bulb? Like, what does that have to do with soccer at all?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, that whole him blasting "You'll never walk alone" and stuff of practice by yourself. What is this Keegan thing? I don't know. The only one that I remember from my teams is Mike Singletary taking his pants down in the locker room as a 49ers coach. But yeah, go ahead, Sully.
I was going to say, if I'm remembering this correctly, there is a press conference where Kevin Keegan he was unhinged. It was like one of those things where it was like, hey, do we need to send somebody back there after he leaves the podium to like check on him? It was a strong press conference. But yeah, at least Kevin Keegan never looked like he had his face, like paper clipped from the back of his head, like that tight around his skull. Mikel Arteta, for somebody who put so much energy into his looks, like, bro, like, look a little bit more human. That's what needs to happen.
But there says clearly Shay has never experienced being connected.
Hey man, growing up, now we got these LED bulbs that just turn on. There's no connection needed. It just works. We don't have to worry about the filament breaking. That's what his point was. Like, hey, the old school bulbs had filament. They needed to be connected to.
Yeah, he's like putting a wire in there.
The wire's breaking.
Timogen, you used to refer to him as like Lego head. How has nobody referred to him as Patrick Bateman? Like, that's who he looks like. That's who he reminds me of. And you want to talk about owners or club executives with chainsaws? I think Arteta is pulling one out, and getting his poncho on if they don't win a Premier League title in the next 2 years.
Honestly, he won't see the next 2 years. I think if they don't win anything next week, I don't think we're gonna miss him though. It's gonna be like like Ten Hag-ish. We're gonna miss the making fun of it kind of a deal. But we'll see what happens. That's a big game this weekend. That's a game that I will be watching. Hopefully, right? Is that Saturday, Sunday? When the hell do you guys play? Sunday 10:30. That's like a live watch along waiting to happen.
That's a good game.
So we might be able to pull that out. But hey, thanks a lot, guys, and thanks to all those watching. Somebody tuck Jimbo in because it's 3 a.m. over there. But hey, thanks to all those following us, commenting, give a thumbs up, do the sharing. And if you have a deluded fan who roots for another club other than Liverpool, we've gathered some of them over here, but there is more out there. Not Brentford fans, but there's other fans out there from other Premier League clubs. So do send them our way. Would love to have them on the panel, talk about their club and stuff as well. But have a great week, everybody. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.